on the second wave of the Spirit Open Call. Before we start, I would like to say a few words. First of all, this event is recorded, and the recording has just now started. And the recorded event, together with the slide, everything will be published on the Spirit website on the dedicated page of the Spirit Second Open Call. We will have a final session of question and answer, so you can write along the webinar your question. We will not stop the flow during the webinar, and we will keep enough time at the end to answer all your questions. And if you have more questions after the webinar, you can always reach out using the email that you see below, opencalls@spirit.project.eu, and we will be happy to support you. In particular, will be myself, Valentina, and Anita as well from Digital for Planet, but also we'll have the technical partners joining in answering your specific question. Regarding today, we have quite an intense agenda. So we will have a short icebreaker at the beginning. Then we will have the introduction to the Spirit project from Peter. Then I will introduce specifically the second open call with the administrative information, the timeline, and the rules. We will have a focus on the technology framework. Then, so we will have Ning, Ali, and Vivian presenting all the information that you need to know in order to prepare your proposal. And then we will have a final round of questions moderated by Herman and Anita. And this will be our 2 hours workshop for today. So moving on, we would like to have this short icebreaker with the Slido pool. And so we are asking you to join Slido either using the link here or using the QR code. And now I give the floor to you, Anita.
Thank you very much, Valentina. So I'm sharing my screen now. So we would like to know more about you, and in particular, how familiar you are with the European Commission's project and, of course, with the Spirit project. So please, as Valentina mentioned, scan this QR code on your phone or directly connect at slido.com to answer the following questions. I just started the very first question. So we're asking you how familiar are you with the European Commission project, so that we have more or less an idea about it. So we will leave a minute or so that you can respond to the poll. Okay. So the majority of you is somewhat familiar, at least for now. So you've been involved in a few European Commission projects, but some of you are slightly familiar. So that's okay, because we will present to you a bit more about the Spirit project. Okay. Thank you very much. I will stop here for now. There is one more question we would like to ask you. It's specifically related to the Spirit project. So how familiar are you with the Spirit project? Okay, so most of you will need more in-depth information. Good. Okay. I will also stop this poll, and let's ask one more question. We would like to know, how did you find out about this workshop? If it was through our social media channels, through our Spirit website, mailing list, word of mouth, or something else? Okay. So it's mostly, it seems like it's mostly social media network and word of mouth. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Please keep this this site open because more questions will follow. All right. Thank you very much. I will stop sharing my screen, Valentina.
Okay, so I will move on with the presentation. Thank you very much for your answer. That's important for us to know better the participant to this workshop and to somehow adjust also the content of the workshops. So moving on, I would give the floor to our coordinator, Peter, to present and to give you an overview about the mission and vision in the Spirit project. Peter, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Valentina. Thank you very much. So my name is Peter van Dalen. I'm with IMEC Ghent University in Belgium, and IMEC is the project coordinator for the Spirit project. I'm just going to give you a little bit of overview of the project itself, some background information. Next slide, please. So in fact, the ambition of the project is to realize Europe's first multi-site and interconnected framework, supporting a heterogeneous set of collaborative telepresence applications. In fact, it's so that there are in Europe several sites where people can do experimentation on telepresence, but either those sites, those platforms, are restricted in use, are shielded off only for proprietary use, or also they are very dedicated to specific applications. Now, the ambition of Spirit is to connect these different applications and the platforms, and so to offer this to the outer world and to allow experimentation on these platforms. In fact, Spirit, as a European project, we responded to one of the calls from the Horizon Europe project program. And we are in total 8 partners. They are listed here with the logos. So IMEC is the coordinator. We have AWTG in the UK, Deutsche Telekom, Ericsson, Fraunhofer, University of Klagenfurt, University of Surrey, and Digital for Planet as partners. Now, it's also so that, as I said, we not only do research on developing these platforms and these testbeds on telepresence applications. So we develop our tools ourselves or try to improve the tools, but we also want to offer them to the outer world. To you as what's called in the European project language, third parties. So what we do is through open calls, we provide financial means to support your experimentation. So that indeed also you can do experimentation on these platforms, but we can also learn from this. So what is missing, where can it be improved, and so on. The targeted TRL ranges from TRL 4 to 7, not only for us, for our tools, for the testbeds itself, but also for the proposals for the experiments that you would like to submit. The project duration of Spirit is more or less 3 years. Well, it's slightly more, it's 39 months. And we're now over halfway already. So the project runs until the end of 2025. Next slide, please. Now, as I said, we try to work on ourselves as a consortium on developing those tools and those applications for telepresence. but we also open it to third parties. And as I said, we also want to learn from those experiments. So it's basically on a collaborative basis that we want to progress in this area. Now, again, in European project language, you are third parties. And the way the funding is received is through what's called cascade funding. So in principle, we receive the money from the European Commission, from Brussels, and we run the open calls, we run the reviews, the submission process, the review process, and the selection process. And then we grant the funding that we got from Brussels to you as a third party. Now, this is a process which, in fact, is set up by Brussels to facilitate and to accelerate the way you, as possible experimenters, get the funding. Now, Spirit has two waves of open calls. The first open call was opened some months ago. The selection has been done. You can check on the website who the winners are of the projects that were selected, and those experiments are currently running. In total, more than half of the budget that Spirit receives from Brussels is going further through you as experimenters to the third parties to support those open call experiments. In total, it's 3.5 million euros. It's split over the two open calls. The duration of the experiments that you want to set up, and Valentina will discuss a little bit more in detail all the practicalities, is up to 9 months, but for this second open call, it's limited to 8 months. In total, we aim at 25 projects that are going to be funded, spread over the two open calls. And we aim at both academia, scientific organization, research organizations, industry, and SMEs to provide and to submit proposals. Now, as I said in the first open call, that was closed already some time ago, and the projects started and were selected. In total, 11 proposals were selected, and those experiments are now running. Next slide, please. And I think this gives you a general overview of the project, of the Spirit project itself, without a lot of technical details. But now Valentina will switch to going a little bit further in detail to the practicalities for the second open call, timeline, rules, and guidelines. So Valentina, back to you.
Thank you very much, Peter, for your presentation. And yes, we will dive a little bit more into the information about the second open call. So regarding the second wave of the open call, as you can see here, we will have a maximum funding per project, which is 100K, and the duration of your project will be maximum 8 months. We are aiming to fund at least 15 projects and to reach our maximum total funding. So that's the information you want to have in order to correctly prepare your proposal. So regarding the eligible cost, as we said, we have 100K for each project, and the categories of costs that are eligible within this funding are personal expenses, travel expenses, and also overheads, which is the 25% of the direct cost, where the direct costs are personal and travel expenses. All these three categories are covered 100% for all type of organization. I'm saying and underline that because during the first open call, we received this question several times. So no matter if you are an SMEs or a research centers, you will be covered 100% for your personal cost, travel cost, and also for the overheads. So this to give you the information about the cost, and now the information about the payment. The payment will consist in 2 installments. You will receive a first installment equivalent to the 75% of the maximum grant agreement that you have requested, and this first installment will be received at the end of the month 5th of your project after you submit your midterm report. At the end of the project, you will receive a second installment equal to the 25% of the maximum grant amount after the submission and the approval of the final report. So you will receive your payment from the 5th month and then at the end of your project implementation. Another element that is important for you to know is that each selected project will be assigned to a patron. Who is a patron? A patron is a project partner that will be the main contact for you as a technical guidance and that will assist you to implement your project within the Spirit platform. So if you are funded, so if your proposal is granted with the funding, you will have a patron as a main technical contact point, and you will have myself and Anita from Digital for Planet as the main administrative contact point. You can find the list of all patrons on the Spirit Open Call 2 dedicated page, so you have information about the patron there. That's the timeline regarding the second open call. So the second open call has been just launched in the middle of October, and the deadline for the final submission will be 19th of December. So right before Christmas, you will have to provide your final submission. During January, there will be the evaluation of the project, and you will receive more information about the evaluation at the end of this presentation. Our plan is to have by the end of January, beginning of February, the evaluation concluded and the announcement of the awarded project. After the announcement of the awarded project, there will be the implementation phase of the project, so the contracting procedure, the starting of the project, and the end of the project should be by end of September, maximum end of October 2025, because after that you have to do some reporting, submit your final report by end of November 2025, and again, as a Spirit project, we have to submit the final information to the European Commission. So we need some buffer time by the end of 2025 to collect all the information. So that's the timeline you have to keep in mind, in particular, the deadline for the final proposal submission that is 19th of December. Regarding the important tool in order to prepare and submit your proposal on the Spirit website, particularly on the Open Call 2 page, you will find all the information. In particular, you will find the Open Call documents that are needed for the submission. And we are talking about the proposal template, the declaration of honor, and the SME self-declaration in case you are an SME. And also, in order to prepare technically your proposal, you have the overview of the technological framework, and you have the deliverables that have already been submitted to the European Commission. So you can have a look there to have all the information regarding the technological framework, but also you will receive a summary of this information later in the presentation. Regarding the eligibility criteria, so who is admitted to participate to the Spirit Open Call, as we said already at the beginning, we are targeting several organizations, SMEs, as well as industry, research and scientific organization and academia. You can participate to the open call as an individual organization or as a consortium. When you are a consortium, maximum 3 organizations can partake into the same consortium. All the applicants as single applicants or as consortiums should be eligible to participate in Horizon Europe program. And in particular, you can find on our website the list of the eligible countries that can participate to Horizon Europe program and specifically to the Spirit open calls. Another element, an important one, the applicant has not to be affiliated with any of the consortium partner of the Spirit project. And when we are talking about affiliation, is not just a simple cooperation in other projects, which can happen quite often in this kind of environment, but a specific affiliation entity encompassing any legal entity that is under direct control of a consortium partners of the Spirit project. So it has a specific legal definition, this kind of affiliation. So if you have any doubt about it, reach us out and we will give you all the information. The eligibility criteria, now we are discussing about what type of activities qualified for financial support. So all the activities that are in line with the Spirit project goals and aim to support the advancement and the validation of the collaborative telepresence application of the Spirit platform. And specifically on the objectives and goal, we will have a final presentation from our coordinator, Peter, that will give you an overview of that, but also you can find the details, goals, and outcome on the Spirit web page. So you can have a look at that. And again, here, I would like to give the floor to Anita to have some more question for you and to have your participation and also to give me a short break. So I give the floor to you, Anita, and I'm stop sharing the screen now.
Thanks a lot, Valentina. So I will share my screen. Okay, the next question we would like to ask you is what type of organization are you representing? So whether you're representing an SME, research center, academia, or other. So we will give you a minute or so to respond to this question. Okay, so many people are from an SME. We'll wait a couple of seconds more. Okay, more SME. Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot. Let's jump to the next question. So I will stop with this one. The next question is, what area of application are you primarily focused on? In this case, you have to type your answer. So we have music, sound, energy, healthcare, emergency care, motion capture, industry, more healthcare, civil security, video transmission, XR. Okay. Life science, haptics, media technology. Okay, so diverse areas we see. Vocational training, e-commerce, video games, collaborative VR and AI, network applications for XR, authorization, identity management. Okay. I hope I read them all. I see someone is still typing. We have life science. Okay. All right. Okay, we have a few areas. That's great. Okay, and XR, yes. Great, so I will stop this question. Okay, so now we would like you to rate your level of experience in your field. 1 is student, early career researcher, and 5 is senior expert / leader in the field. Okay. Okay, we have quite a few 5. And then the rest is more or less distributed, we would say. Okay, 61% is 5. Okay, that's great. That helps us a lot. So thank you very much for responding. I will leave you still a couple of seconds and then I will close this question as well. And then again, please leave this window open because a couple of other questions will come as well. All right, thank you very much. So I will stop now the question and please, Valentina, you can share again.
Okay, thank you very much, Anita. And again, for your participation. Yes. So moving on, the proposal within the open call to waive. So we have already discussed a little bit about who can participate and what you can propose within the second open calls. And now I would like to focus a few minutes on the feasibility advisory, because no matter how good is your proposal, you have to implement your proposal within the Spirit testbed, and this might be not always feasible. There could be several reasons, your specific requirement, technical requirement, or the days you need to spend at the testbed. So in order to in order to better assess the feasibility, the Spirit Consortium is offering an optional advisory service to evaluate the project feasibility before the final deadline of open call to proposals. This step, as you can see, is highly recommended, but is not mandatory, and it involves submitting a shorter version of the proposal to assess the feasibility and to have a feasibility verification. The submission deadline to take advantage of this feasibility advisory support from the Spirit Consortium is the 25th of November. But I want to underline that the feasibility requests, they will be processed as soon as they are received. So the sooner, the better. The sooner you will send your feasibility proposal, the sooner you will receive feedback from our technical consortium, and you will have more time to implement your final proposals. Another important element that we have to underline is that undergoing the feasibility advisory is not a guarantee of selection in the end, but is something that will help you to submit a better final proposal in order to have more chance to get funded in the end. Regarding the proposal submission in particular, you have a dedicated page in order to submit your proposal, and you will find the link to this dedicated page in the Spirit website. It's said several times. There is a button that sends you to the proposal submission page. And here you will have the possibility to either select feasibility advisor or final submission. So based on the stage you are in, you can select either the feasibility of the final. As I said before, the feasibility is not mandatory, but is highly, highly recommended. And we have seen quite a huge success in the Spirit Open Call one for the proposal that undergone the feasibility advisor. Regarding the proposal submission, as said, the feasibility, you have to select on the dedicated page feasibility advisory, and then you have to submit the template. It has not to be complete in all its part. For the feasibility, you need just to complete session A, B, and C, and H. And also beside the proposal template, you have to upload the declaration of honor and the SMEs checklist if it's applicable if you are SMEs. And as said, the deadline for the feasibility is the 25th of November. Regarding the final proposal, you have to select final submission stage in the dedicated page. You have to submit the proposal template fully completed. So all the session must be completed for the final proposal. And then you have to resubmit also the mandatory document that are the declaration of honor, SME self-declaration if applicable again. And also the deadline is the 19th of December, and there will be no acceptance of late proposals. Let's say that the page will be closed, so there will be no possibility to upload any proposal after the deadline.
Sorry, Valentina, if I interrupt you. We still
Yes.
see the slide 21 feasibility advisory. Maybe it's not fully up to date.
Okay, so let me try to stop sharing and resharing again.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Here you see, so I've spoken quite a lot on this first slide, the feasibility advisory, and then you should have seen the proposal submission tool, which is this one, and also the page that allow you to select either feasibility advisory or final submission. And the information that are all summarized in the slide. The slide will be on the website as well, with the deadline and the required documentation that you have to upload for both feasibility and final submission. Moving on after final submission, it's an important step is the evaluation process. So the evaluation process will be done externally from the Spirit Consortium. So there will be external evaluators that will review your final proposal. Before this external evaluation, there will be an internal check that will be done primarily from Digital for Planet. And this check will be on eligibility and also feasibility in terms of implementation on the test beds. If your proposal is both eligible and feasible, you will undergo with the external evaluation. The external evaluation, as said, will be done by external expert that will sign with us an NDA, so your information will remain conserved properly. And also the external expert cannot be part of the consortium, and they cannot evaluate proposal where there is a conflict of interest. They have to explain in this case how they might be involved in this proposal or not. So we will assign your proposal considering a possible conflict of interest. Your proposal will be then evaluated on 10 criteria. I will show you next slide. And in case there is, in case there are different ranking from the two evaluators, because at least two external experts will review your proposal, we will have consensus meeting, try to better understand what is going on and to give you and your proposal a final ranking. And as said, the final results are supposed to be communicated by end of January, beginning of February. That's because it really depends on how many proposals we will receive. On the first wave, we have received quite a huge number of proposals, more than expected, because we received 64 eligible and feasible proposals. So it has requested quite a lot of time to evaluate and review properly all the proposal and to select the winner as well. The criteria and the score, you can see here the table. You can also find the table on the Spirit website. So there are some criteria that have a weight that is equal to. So there are, let's say, more important than other. And in particular, we have the clarity and methodology, the ambition, the impact, replicability, and team capacity. Also, we have other criteria that are contribution to standardization, value for money, SME participation, gender dimension awareness. And when we are talking about gender dimension awareness, is both considering your methodology and your approach to the experimentation that you are proposing, but also the gender dimension awareness within your team. And finally, we have maturity of the proposing organization. So another important element, you will find this table with all the description of each criteria on the Spirit website. And you have to consider that for each criteria, you have to reach a minimum threshold to be considered within the final awarded project. If you cannot reach this minimum threshold, you will be automatically excluded from final selection. So that's from my side regarding rules, timeline, and criteria for the evaluation. Maybe we can have, if you have any question about it, from costs that are covered, or deadline, or way to apply and to update your proposal, we can have the final round of question at the end. And for the time being, I will leave the floor to the technical framework, in particular to Ning, that will be present the work package too. And yeah, Ning, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Valentina. I'm Ning Wang from University of Surrey. Okay, so currently I'm responsible for the as the leader for WP2, which is titled Requirements and Platform Architecture Definition, including use cases. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so in WP2, we are trying to cover a wide range of scenarios in terms of use cases. Okay, so typically we consider human-to-human applications versus human-to-machine applications, and we also consider different types of representation models, like live holographic based telepresence, for instance, using point cloud systems. And we also look at avatar-based telepresence as non-native solutions. So it is worth mentioning that these use cases are agnostic to specific vertical domains. The key purpose of these use cases is to help to develop our technologies in Spirit platform, and also build the architecture and derive forward-requirements. Okay, so these use cases will be certainly complementary to the use cases brought forward by third-party participants. So I will quickly go through each of the existing use cases very quickly. Okay, yeah, next slide, please. The first one is live streaming based on holographic telepresence. So the starting point here is a one-to-one communication based on point cloud system over WebRTC. So this use case basically describe a very clear sort of scenario of point-to-point communications where the holographic source can be live streamed over WebRTC over the public internet towards the receiver side, based on which simple AR glasses could be used to display the hologram in real time. Okay, next slide. So we also consider this multi-source support, which can benefit the application use cases with group-based communications. And one typical technical challenge is how to achieve synchronized playback regardless the location of the internet. For instance, one source could be next door and the other source could be as far as in Australia. So the playback latency could be very different. But if you conceive some sort of necessary interaction with each other, that is a key requirement to synchronize the frames originated from different remote sources. So this, the diagram on the left basically illustrates a very simple use case of virtual handshake. Okay, so you can imagine the importance of frame synchronization on both ends in order to play back in a meaningful sense in terms of a virtual handshake experience. Okay, next slide, please. This is a use case based on avatar assisted telepresence, which is complementary to point cloud holographic telepresence. So one selling point here is the utilization of split rendering approach, which helps on the transmission of the stream over low bandwidth channels. Okay, and also depending on the working load of the server and the device, the rendering sort of jobs could be split on multiple locations in order to balance the load and also improve the overall user experiences and resource efficiency. Yeah, next slide, please. And last but not least, this is a human-to-machine based telepresence, which is all about a simple application of remote robotic control. As you can see, this is a application use case where a human being can perform remote control over a robot to fulfill specific tasks based on the immersive media received from the content captured by a live camera over the robot. Okay, so this is something that is complementary to the previous illustrate human-to-human oriented telepresence applications. Okay, yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the evolving split architecture. Okay, so basically it illustrates the technical coverage from the bottom 5G or different network testbed platform, which are interconnected to facilitate distributed demonstration of the use cases. And then at the transport layer, we look at different transport protocols like low latency dash WebRTC in order to optimize the end-to-end delivery of the live live telepresence applications. So as will be introduced later by my colleague, we also look at the different types of innovations at different layers, and then at the top, we also look at the organization of specific functions as well as the interfaces that makes the overall system work. Okay, so depending on specific use cases, some of them are directly sourced to destination connection without any existing functions hosted at the server side. But other scenarios may require the intermediate node, like a server function in the middle, to facilitate the operation of the end-to-end telepresence content delivery, and these network functions are used for supporting the delivery of the telepresence applications belonging to different use cases. And we also have already documented the specific interfaces that can be used for the communication or information sharing or exchange between those network functions. And these interfaces could be also useful for to be plugged into third-party developed network application functions for open core experiments. And detailed information about these interfaces have already been documented in one of the recently submitted deliverables. And in due time, we can release the technical documentation of these interfaces. And yeah, I think that's all from my side with regard to the use cases and architecture for now.
Thank you very much, Ning, and please stay with us for the final round of questions if there is any regarding this part. And now I give the floor to Ali for the presentation of Work Package 3.
Thanks a lot, Valentina. So for Work Package 3, as Ning already introduced, so for the use cases, interfaces, and requirements that have been identified on Work Package 2, we have also described the different innovations or technology components that enable this use case. So I will go through 3 of the use cases in this short presentation. The first one is the live holographic communication platform. So in principle, the use case is an end-to-end or point-to-point communication from a producer, which is using a camera, which is capturing 3D representation of a user. And then on the receiver side, a mobile phone connected to augmented reality glasses, where it's possible to basically visualize this and they're in a much more immersive way, basically compared to just 2D, right? And this, in terms of components, this is basically using also standard volumetric video representations and WebRTC for communication. When we look at the second use case as well, it is the avatar type of representation. On the next slide, please, Anita. Then we are talking about a different way to represent the human, also in initially one-to-one, but also one-to-many use cases. And that also provides a more immersive representation of a user compared to 2D today. The difference to the first use case is here the user is represented by an avatar. And this avatar is a photorealistic avatar. This means that we are extracting parametric representation based on head and body movements of the avatar, and then communicating as well as the avatar representation using WebRTC protocol to the receiver side. So basically to also enable this type of communication between different users. On top of this, for this use case, we also have a split rendering, which is an important realization in order to increase interactivity and minimize communication bandwidth over a network. Much of the functionalities for rendering are offloaded to a server, and that's what we mean by split rendering. So the rendering is happening first at the server and then communicated to the device, which could be also in this use case a mobile phone plus an augmented reality glasses, similar to the first platform. So if you go to the next slide, please, Anita, then also here we have a bit more of a visual description of the use case, where in principle, you can see in the engine here, the avatar is being generated at the server and decoded and rendered and then transmitted to the device. The third use case that we are going to talk about here is the multi-source live teleportation use case. And here as innovation components, we are using TCP as a transmission protocol compared to WebRTC. So a bit of different way of communicating, and also for this context of providing also more flexible implementations for open call partners. This use case extends the other two in the sense that also we are not limited to one sensor. That's why we have a multi-source. So it's possible to use multiple cameras at the server. And then using the more sophisticated hardware in terms of cloud compute here, it's possible also to realize this use case and provide this use case in real time to end users. So this is a 3 human-to-human communication use cases where we have also, with the partners here in this project, developed the different components. And there is an additional use case related to human-to-machine communication realized at the Deutsche Telekom testbed, but stay tuned. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. So let's move on and to have this more information about testbed and integration. Thanks to Vivian for your presence here, and I give the floor to you.
Okay, let's start. One of the testbeds is at the University of Surrey. They have a multi-access technology network, and 4G, 5G, standalone, non-standalone is there available. And for the application, it's the important thing is they use edge server machines so that your application can be deployed in the testbed. And the other testbed available is on the next slide. It's a testbed at T-Systems. In the upper picture, you can see it's really a kind of a shop floor. It's a kind of industrial environment where the robot is at home. It's located in Berlin, and it has a 5G standalone network. And of course, also there are edge servers available, and the applications are expected to be containerized and are deployed in a Kubernetes system. And it would be possible to have a virtual machine, but we recommend to you to have containerized applications deployable in Kubernetes. And as already mentioned, the hologram, avatar, and robot use case are implemented in the Berlin testbed. And on the next slide, we have the really important thing. As Peter mentioned in the introduction of the project, both testbeds are interconnected so that we have a multi-site testbed. It is available for you, the connection, so that on both sides you can deploy a part of your application and have a really interconnected application. We do not have a, we use a best effort internet to connect both testbeds, so it's really close to real life, no high speed interconnection, and the connection is tested by the real-time animation and streaming of the realistic avatar. So on one end, the audio is recorded, sent to the other edge server, and there the audio is used to animate and render the avatar, which is then presented in the glasses or on an tablet. Okay, and last but not least, and from the first open call, we learned that some applications really needed resources, and especially for many-to-many use cases with point cloud representations, a lot of GPU is needed. And therefore we added a third testbed to our project. And you can see they have a lot of resources. And it is used for holographic human-to-human telepresence. And it's good to we can scale the application in this test bed very well. So, and what's on the next slide? Okay, Ali already mentioned the human-to-human interaction holographic use case, and here are some specifics, and I do not want to repeat the content. So therefore, please go to the next one. And that's a use case that's new, and it is how the virtual wall testbed is used. It's a four-party human-to-human holographic communication. It's a many-to-many conferencing use case. So here the high-performance testbed is really needed for this use case. Thanks. And what's on the next slide? Okay, that's the robot from the Berlin testbed. And here are some details regarding the robot. I will not read out all of them, but the important thing is it's an autonomous mobile robot, and it is possible to put everything you like on the platform. So you can extend this robot, for example, with your own machine to have another human machine use case. So I think that's all regarding the use cases. And on the next slide, it's a tool, the network aware resource scheduler. It's the scheduling of containers in Kubernetes so that the containers are distributed in the available cloud to provide the so that your application reduces latency, and it is really okay. The important thing is read about it in the deliverable. It is really helpful, but somehow my brain has not, and I cannot solve it. It is really that the resources are placed where the application benefits from it. Okay, thanks. Sorry. Next one. Okay. Another component we can offer as a consortium is confidential computing to secure AR and VR workloads. It helps to provide end-to-end security. Of course, data and transport protocols are secured, but the issue usually is with processing, and you have to you cannot secure the processing itself because the data is not encrypted. And with confidential computing, it is possible to provide encryption even when the processing is done, so that no one can look at your program code while it is processed. And now I think the quality of experience is the next one. Yes. We provide a tool for quality of experience evaluation. It's available on GitHub, and it is an approved tool to have a quality of experience prediction from point clouds. How does the user will experience the point cloud representation. It's available. Have a look at it. And now, what I think that's it. Thank you very much. And sorry for the network aware scheduler, but didn't work.
No, thank you, Vivian. I mean, what we are trying to do here is to give a very short overview of everything, but all the information, as said before, you can find that on the website. You will find the slide, you will find the recording, and specifically, you will find the deliverables with all the technical information. Also, if you need more information, more specification, you can also reach out to us with the email that I show you at the beginning. And now I will move on with the open call objectives and outcomes. Peter, you still have time to present this for us, because I know you have another meeting in a while.
No problem. That's fine.
Okay.
So indeed, let me just briefly highlight a little bit what we aim to get from the open call experiments. As I said in the beginning, we are doing development ourselves on those platforms. We're developing new tools, new software, and so on. But you, as a third party, you can validate and test all what we have available on the different platforms. You can test some and validate some of the tools, some of the software, the connection between the different sites. So all of kind of things is something that you can do. But on the other hand, you can also complement and enhance the Spirit platform. So you can say, okay, well, for the applications that we have in mind, we need something extra functionality. You can also work on that and develop those extra functionalities. And of course, following that, you can also give us feedback on what kind of requirements you think you want to put on the platforms and on the work that we are doing. So also guiding us somewhat towards the needs of your own organization, of your own work, of your own community. Next slide, please. So the outcome itself of what we see for the open call experiments are practical demos in one of the test beds, validation, as I said, test procedures on one of the test beds, the multiple test beds, the connection between the different test beds. Or you can provide some contributions, as I said, to the platform. So new things which you think are valuable to add to those platforms. And also reporting on what you find as shortcomings or extra requirements. Now, I'm not going to read all the text on the slides. They will become available afterwards, but it gives you the feeling of what kind of things that we are expecting. Next slide, please. Now, we're looking at applications or experiments in all different vertical sectors that are available. And out of the poll that was launched earlier by Anita, it's clear that we have a broad spectrum of possible interested parties amongst all of you. So they're just listed a few of them here. But what we are aiming at is also maturity level TRL 4 or above. So that means that indeed we already want your work to be already somewhat mature or tested in the lab itself. Yes, next slide. There are some examples. Again, I'm not going to read through the whole list because they are available afterwards. But there are some activities, examples of activities and contributions based on what we think that can be done, but also based on the proposals that we received out of the Open Call 1 experiments. So it gives you an impression of the kind of things, of experiments that we are looking for. And also on the website, you can check the winners of the Open Call 1 and see also what topics they have been working on or they are working on. Next slide, please. This is continuing. It's examples of extensions to the Spirit platform functionality. So again, it's just some ideas that came up amongst ourselves as partners of the project, something that we have picked up also from the Open Call 1 proposals that were submitted. Yes, please, next. And now it's back to Anita.
Yes, exactly. Back to Anita with some more question for you. So I'm stopped sharing and give the floor to you.
Thank you very much. So I will share again. Okay, so the next question we would like to ask you is, what is the vertical sector of your interest? And here again, you can type your question, your answer, sorry. Okay, we see healthcare, entertainment, energy, education, cultural heritage, okay. Okay. Yeah, once the answers are the same, you can only see it once. So I see there are actually more answers, but some of them are the same. Tourism, okay, great. Thank you very much. I will now stop the interaction, and there is one last question we would like to ask you. What are you most excited to gain from collaborating with Spirit? Of this, we're very curious. Research on new applications, rendering, streaming in XR, test the platform and usage of testbeds, maturity of 3D videos, research and development, solutions, methods, connections and collaboration, comparison, let's see, platform test, testbeds, XR, test applications. All right. Okay. Implementations. Okay. So there are quite a few interesting topics we see. So we're looking forward to collaborating with you. Okay, I see someone is still typing, so I will wait a few seconds before stopping. Okay. Transform education with VR industry. Very interesting. So thank you very much. That was the very last final question. We thank you a lot for supporting us with voting and giving your insights on on the questions. This will help us a lot. So thank you very much for your participation.
And
I
now
will
it's
stop sharing.
time for your question to us. If we can give you some more information about project or topics or rules, that's your time to ask question. And for this, Anita and also Herman will be joining me to moderate the Q&A session. As I can see from the chat, a few questions have already been submitted and also answered already. I'm not sure all participants can see the answers. I believe so. So that there's no need to repeat them live. For sure, there is quite an interesting question that we have received several times also during the first open call. So other goods and services are eligible. This is related to the cost and the expenses from the open call. And yes, these are eligible. Anyhow, we suggest not to put too many equipment within the proposal, because this complicate a little bit the final report on your expenses, and we suggest to cover as much as you can with the personnel costs, travel costs, and the overheads of the 25%. Herman, there is some specific technical question that you would like to report. You have already answered to several, but maybe there is something particularly interesting.
Yeah, but thank you, Valentina. Let's first visit the most recent question in the Q&A box. Could one applicant or institution participate in 2 different proposal teams? I think I hand this question over to Peter.
Well, it's so that indeed a third party, so somebody can make several or multiple proposals, but there will be only one selected. So there is only one that maximum can be funded if there are multiple proposals being submitted. It's only one that will be funded.
Okay, thank you, Peter. There are more questions on administrative issues coming in. Should all team members attend the training at the beginning of the project?
That's not really required. It's let's say the training or the meeting which is set up as a kickoff meeting. That's something that well, who is participating there is decided up to you. Who should be informed? Who should be the contact person? Who should be aware of some of the facilities, the technical facilities? So the kickoff meeting is not an administrative meeting; it's a technical meeting. So it's especially the technical people who should be involved in that meeting.
And this can also be organized online.
Yeah, it's online.
Yep.
And there's still the patron taking care of questions, issues as the first point of contact. He or she will then distribute the questions to other spirit members if required.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final question here, can selected partners from Open Call 1 be selected again in Open Call 2? I start to answer, yes, they can. They can submit another proposal to Open Call 2, but the rule is that this is not a continuation or extension of the project 1, but it must be a new distinct project submitted in the second Open Call round. And then if the project is successful, it can be selected and the same partner can receive again funding. Peter,
yeah,
do you want to add something here?
Yeah, it's correct. That's completely correct. It's so that since Open Call 1 and Open Call 2 experiments are overlapping, as Herman is saying, there can't be a continuation because there is an overlapping, and we do not want to fall into the problem of double funding. So if you, as a selected OpenCall 1 partner, want to submit a proposal in OpenCall 2, you clearly have to define what the difference is with the OpenCall 1 experiment, clearly explain that there will be other team members or other time which is allocated to OpenCall 2 experiment. So it should clearly be highlighted what the differences are with the OpenCall 1 experiment to avoid any double funding.
Okay, and then came just in a new question. Person who is new to the Spirit project, do we have any matchmaking platform where we could post our offer and seek for other partners?
Maybe I can jump in,
Yes.
Herman. Well, we
Perfect.
received this question also on the first round of OpenCall. We launched this matchmaking platform on LinkedIn. It was not very successful, but we can do that again and see if there is more participation on that. So we will keep you updated on the website as well and LinkedIn as well on our social media, but we will launch this matchmaking again.
Okay, thank you, Valentina. And now I'm going to the technical questions. Part of them are on the chat, or precisely two of them. One was a question that was posted in the Q&A box, but I misused the button here and was unable to give an answer. So I deferred this question to the chat, which was on which devices have been used so far. Quite many. So we used indifferent, as Sergio added to my answer, quite different platforms, devices for different use cases and applications. We used smartphones, tablets, and VR and AR devices. For example, Microsoft HoloLens 2, Meta Quest 3, and Ericsson, Ali, I can't precisely remember what your headset was.
Right. We use the X-Real glasses, connected to Android phones. Yes.
Yes. And Sergio, I think you also used the X-Real, right?
Yes, exactly. We were using also the same glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Sergio added different devices for the different use cases and different initial developments that we have available. A common denominator is that we use Unity on the end devices, which is supported by many of the end devices. So this seems to be a common framework or platform which can easily be used there. Okay, and the second question on the chat, originally put on the chat, was about the rendering. Can this be done on the client and only on the client, or is there something support by a server or so? It was just a moment when Ali explained the split rendering thing. Yes, functionality of rendering or support of rendering can be put on the end devices, but also be partially on an edge server or even probably on a central server. So there may be support for the end devices on different devices, different servers. So it's basically quite flexible to use rendering or whatever functionality where appropriate. So this was on the chat, and I want to revisit one question that I was not fully sure, which was in the Q&A, and I answered it positively. The question was, can WebRTC services of the Spirit project be used? For example, the stun server, session setup and stuff like that. I think, yes, the existing services could be used. And please correct me if I'm wrong, people who use WebRTC. But you could also bring your own complete server assembly and help set up and run WebRTC?
Yes, so yeah, I think it will depend on the preferences and the specific use case. So I'm responsible for the avatar use case. So in our case, we have our own signaling server for the WebRTC, and I also think for the other use case for the hologram, I don't know if you have it externally. I mean, we have it locally together with the application with the server, and then in the other case it's external. So I mean, we have several options that can be used. And
Okay.
of course,
Thank you, Sergio.
sorry, of course, if someone wants to bring another solution or another server that they prefer, then that's also valid, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, I think I covered all the questions that were raised during the webinar. If not, final chance. There is one additional now in the Q&A box. If the project gets funded, the work and the code should be public source, question mark.
We have to follow the EC rules, so we have to publish to be as much open as possible. So in principle, yes, unless there are specific requirement or justification that you can give to the European Commission in order not to public your work and code.
If you have, of course, confidential company code or something like that, that's your private asset, of course, you have not to publish it. Okay. I think no more questions pop up, so I think we are done also with the Q&A session. Thank you very much for your questions, and thanks for support in answering all this.
Yeah, thank you very much for question and participation. Do not forget that you will have also the possibility to reach out via email, and you will find all the information and recording on the website. And we are sincerely looking forward to cooperate and collaborate with you. Peter, if you want to add something and close the meeting.
No, just want to thank everybody for participating. And as you said, we're really looking forward to your proposals because as a project consortium, we also learn from these experiments. And as was outlined in one of the slides, it's really a collaborative process, a collaborative research that we're aiming for. So thank you very much, and hope to see your proposals coming in as much as possible.
Thank you very much. If I may add something, I've just opened a very last, let's say, question on the slide, or if you'd like to share your feedback on how the session was, please do so. You can rate the session and add any additional comment that you might have. So thank you very much.
Thank you all for participating, speakers, and also interested participants in the open call second wave, and hope to cooperate with you in the future. And yeah, I wish you a wonderful afternoon, and thank you and bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.